Hello there, welcome. There are in a series of some chats with grads, and Music for People has in its 35 years. I think we're now at about 110 grads, and we just graduated another five.
Wow.
And Jimbo Talbot is one of them. They just got through the graduation ceremony in October, and I know. So first thing, Jimbo, congratulations!
Thank
You
you.
did it.
Yay.
And
Not without a lot of help, but I did it.
well, don't I mean it's the same with all of us, right?
That's
We've
right.
and I know you've been with around through connected to MFP. It seems weird that you aren't a grad already, but because you've been so
Mhm.
much apart, you've been so much a part of so many weekends. How did you get going in this place? Where did you start? How did
I
we
can
get
tell
you? How
you.
did we grab you in?
Well, how you really grabbed me in, I'll give credit to my big little sister down in St. Pete, Florida, Jan McGray, who's a beautiful flautist.
Mm-hmm.
Jan graduated a number of years ago, and she had talked to me about David and played um, conversations with David, played eight string, religion. We played, and she had come to a couple of my drum circles, and we hit it off immediately. And she said, "You really need to meet these people. They are your tribe. I trust me. They will be your tribe." So in summer of 2011, I went up to Fredonia for Art of Improvisation. Um, and it was an amazing experience, mind blowing, because the first thing I recall was the first night, the big drum circle
Mm.
with grand pianos, with a string section, with horns, with anything and everything, in addition to all the drums and percussion. And of course, Mary Kinnish was facilitating primarily. Um, and it was just incredible. And what impressed me so much was the freedom with which everybody played. And coming in as I had from a very classically trained background in voice, and having a lot of issues with that, dealing with anxiety and stress over perfectionism. What an opening where I could just let go and do whatever, and everything was beautiful.
And it
And so,
was.
and it
Yeah.
was, and so much so that on day two, after the morning session, when they offered or told us that out in the hallway were the listings of the various breakouts and different sessions, as well as blank spots for electives if you wanted to teach one that afternoon. Whereupon, who do I bump into? The very first person that I really have a conversation, but Todd Rogers. And we just kind of looked at each other, and I don't know who said it first, but one of us said, "Do you want to do something?" And so we did. And, I was saying, yeah, I like rhythm. I drum. He goes, yeah, I like that too. And he goes, I like to dance. And I said, I love the dance. Let's do drumming and movement. And lo and behold, at 4 o'clock that afternoon, we ran our first improv drum and movement. And it was beautiful because, we knew that a lot of people wanted to drum, but also wanted to move and vice versa. So we just kind of kept it rolling where people could go in and out. They could dance for a while. They could drum, they could move and dance. It was fabulous. So, yeah, it was just so overwhelmingly wonderful. And we did the recordings. And then, of course, I sat down with Julie Weber to discuss the possibility of enrolling, in the program. Much different structure than it is now, obviously, as a hybrid, and previously over the last year as a completely virtual program. And all of it sounded good, a little bit daunting, frankly, because then it was more structured, as you know, and there were certain criteria you had to meet, including attendance. Well, coming up from Florida, like 3 out of 4 weekends of the year plus AY. I tried a couple sessions, and I just couldn't muckle the financial uh, end of things. So I kind of let it go. Occasionally getting to a workshop, still doing things with Jan. And then fast forward a few years ago, I decided to move back up north, and I said, it's time to get back involved. And I did a year with Mary and Irene and Megan and Celine, who just graduated, and all these wonderful folks. And we had so much fun. And then the pandemic hit. And so there you go. So, what is that? How many years is that? Like
Yeah,
10,
yeah,
12? I
25.
don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just spoke with Leanne, who's just another grad who was living in Florida at the time when she was and couldn't make it up to all because she's freelancing and gigging, and now she's moved up to Buffalo. So it's um, and that was probably one of the pieces with the 4 year, 4 times a year program. And that
Yes.
was one of the things we wanted to address when we started talking about what's true now? What do we need now? We need more flexibility. So we switched it into 3 levels, and you can do it on your own time. You still have to do all the home plays and all the same stuff. Um, but of course, uh, the pandemic changed everything, didn't it? And one
Mhm.
of the things that we have looked back on, and you're part of this as well, is that when everything shut down, when the world shut down in March, we opened up, and we made a really fast, phenomenal pivot, which
Mhm.
allowed you to be able to, and so many other people from around the world to come in and do this and make it work online and move into this hybrid. So you've really been in this. You've been in it for a long time.
Yes, but Leanne has me beat. Okay,
Yeah,
Leanne, are you listening? You know you and in all the years that we have combined, we had yet to meet until
I
the
was.
graduation weekend.
Isn't that amazing?
With one brief exception, we were going to play together, but my car broke down, and so she walked over and was kind enough to say hello while the tow truck came to get my car. But other than that, we'd never met. And then we rode together. She took the train to Syracuse from Buffalo. We had the most lovely drive. We found out we have so many things in common,
Yeah.
and one of those being was just the rigors of trying to balance our lifestyles and where we were in life, and then trying to fit within the paradigm, which has completely changed. And you're absolutely right. It is so inviting, so engaging, yet still very challenging in different ways. And it is
Say more
just,
about that.
yeah, well, I think the beauty of the hybrid, now mostly still virtual program, is that you get to chance to meet and make music with people from all over the world. That's something that we did not have before. It's so much more accessible. Secondly, because we have more mentoring, we've changed the game so grads and upper level students do more mentoring within the program. It's a great opportunity to reinforce one's practice as well as your skill sets for facilitation. And in that, we were introduced to doing home based recording projects vis a vis the soundtrap. Wow, what
Gotcha.
incredible music has come out of this program. And I hope those of you that are watching this have at least heard a little bit of it, about it, and a little bit, hopefully, of some of the recordings. But please check that out on the Music for People website if you have not. The collab and the recording projects. It's a wonderful introduction to Music for People.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. I was at the today was the first day of the new MLP program, and the grads have always been involved in the in-person stuff. Like we've always mentored, and then we've kind of been out of it. But it was so great to come. Now that we've got this system, we're back in, and we are serving as mentors. So we're reconnecting again to the community. We've kind of kept ourselves going over the past couple of years, but now to see some of the friends from all those years ago, and to be able
Love
to
it.
work with people again, online, whatever it is. So to have these home play pods. And now, I don't know if you remember, well, maybe you'd remember, we're both about the same vintage, but when I was going through the program, we did home recordings on
Yes,
cassette
that's right.
and sent them to our mentor by mail.
Oh, that was part two of why I decided not to continue.
Oh my gosh, it
Thing
was
of it
great.
is, it was, it was set up in a way that, oh, just do something on a cassette and send it in, and then you'll get it back, and then there'll be notes, and then you might be asked to redo something. I did a couple of those, but it's so different than now. There's so much online instantaneous feedback, opportunities. And you mentioned the mentoring with grads. I've met so many grads that had been kind of away from the program for years and years and years and are now accessible, coming back in and playing together. And they're like, wow, what happened?
Yeah, well, and as you know, we started, another grad and I, in March of 2020, at the beginning of March, said, yeah, hey, we haven't talked to you for a little while. How about, should we get up for virtual tea? Wait a minute, why don't we just invite the grads and just like do a grad lounge? Because we're, for whatever reason. And so I started doing those on March 27th, every Friday night until the end of June 2021. We took a couple weeks off in August, kind of thing, AOI in a couple weeks. Every Friday night, any grads who wanted showed up on a Zoom lounge, and that I think, I mean, I know that kept us together, which made it possible for more of us to kind of come into this mentoring thing. Yeah, so it's been really it's been an interesting couple of years, but it's we've been able to actually thrive through this and make it accessible, as you say. It's really interesting to hear from your
And
perspective.
and at a time when it's more important than ever for people to feel an opportunity to make connection with others, to be creative with others, to be expressive. So those of you that have not been associated with this or don't know much about this, again, it's so inviting and so easy to find your way to get involved, and it's a wonderful, wonderful way to balance out your life with, because Lord knows the world is kind of turned upside down these days. So
And just while we're on that, so if those of you want to get more connected, the two best ways right now are to go to musicforpeople.org and sign up for, there's blogs there, there's all the events and so on, but sign up for a newsletter that comes out every couple of weeks. That'll keep you up to date. Or go onto Facebook and find the Music for People page. That is our public facing page. And if you are an educator, a wellness practitioner, an expressive therapist, music therapist, there is a group that says Music for People, Educators, Wellness Practitioner group that you can join. It's a little quieter, but at least there are those two. So, Jimbo, what, when I was speaking to Leanne earlier, we both talked, and for me as well, we both talked about the impact. We still remember that first day we were in, whenever it was, that very first day we were in a Music for People workshop. We still remember it. It's still in our bodies.
Mhm.
It's so deep and profound. And then as you've gone, now that you've graduated,
Mhm.
what does it feel like?
Well, a
And,
great,
and I'll just add, sorry, I'll just add to that. And how are you going to take this? I know
sure.
you've been taking it all the way through your life, but now it's like, okay, I'm here. I've actually got the grad thing. I've completed I've ended something. I'm beginning something else. How does that come into your musical and personal life?
Sure. Well, certainly the first thing I think of, it's a great relief to finally graduate after so many years.
Yeah.
Uh, it feels amazing. It really does. I have to tell you, there were, what, about 30 of us that were able to gather in October for the
Mhm.
first time in a long time, to celebrate that Leanne and my graduation along with the others. And it was very emotional for me. Um, I feel such a kinship and a bond with my Music for People family, unlike relationships that I have with other people. A lot of that has to do with the fact that you don't need a lot of words to have a very meaningful conversation. And the music that comes out of this program is music that is so profound and so deep and touches places that you didn't even know were there to be touched or opened up. And sometimes it's not always the most comfortable. It can be very emotive. And sometimes it's very funny, and it's such a wonderful journey. So I would say, the impact that it's really had on my life is there are a couple of things. First of all, my competence and confidence as a performer are growing. It's something that I really wanted to put to myself in the last couple of years of the program. I had been doing drum circle facilitation for a long time, so the facilitation I was much more familiar with, but my musicianship has improved immensely, and particularly with the recording projects that are now online. Um, there is this sense of family, community, fraternity, sorority, this context, this fabric that I know that I can travel now, and I have people to play with in so many places, and who are saying, yes, Jimbo, please come. We'd love to have you come. We'd love to have you do what you do. And that feels really good too. And the thing that, in carrying it forward, um, probably the greatest impact of all was the listening component of the
Tell me
program.
about that.
Well, our axiom about right, you're never alone in the silence. You're always playing a duet
What was that?
in the silence, with the silence. And some of the materials, Walter Mattheu's book, right? Um, the art of really going in, listening, and what it does is it deepens your attentive listening capability so that you hear a much broader range of what music can be and everything and everywhere around you. And a result of that is that I hear sounds and things that I used to think were noise. Again, I had been trained in a very precise way, measured way of organizing music. And so now there's so many other opportunities for beautiful, beautiful music that is so highly unconventional. So walking down the street and playing buildings as I walk down the street, or listening to cars and traffic, and you can pick up so much more. And so that has led me to really embrace the notion of the healing component of music. It's primarily through the use of sound and overtones. And as you can see, I have a studio that I try to do a lot with sound healing. And most recently, we did it for the first time at graduation weekend. We did an interactive musical play with the sound instruments, and that is kind of something I'm taking upon myself out of graduation. It's my project to carry forward, to try to create visuals and sound and movement as a meditative healing paradigm, and to take it into places such as galleries, studios, yoga studios, churches, wherever people can come together, and to make it very immersive in the sense that people who just come in as listeners end up also becoming players and participants as part of the process.
Now, I mean, first, everybody listening is going to be like, I want to be there. Let me too. But as I keep thinking about, every person I talk to who's gone through the program, if you go back, back even 5 or 6 years when you're kind of in the program and kind of with it, could you have seen this happen? Or is it really the process? Has the process just opened things up and pulled things
Well,
down, or
the process led to an idea, a seed that really got planted within the first year of coming back into the program. So I've been consecutively 3 years to complete the program. I guess actually two. I can't remember time. 2 years anyway. So when I got back to this, and I realized through the drumming and through the improvisational listening and play with other instruments, I realized that there was so much more out there, and the profoundness of stillness, listening to sound, to be able to take in more music and to allow it to have its way in our bodies and to allow it to heal and to bring light and motion wherever it's needed. And so it kind of started, and then it's really ramped up over the last 2 years. And I've spoken both with Mary, who's been my mentor, and also with Todd. I said, this is something I want to see happen. Much as we have the musicianship and the facilitation component, I'd like to see this become an actual component of music for people. So.
Well, looks like you've started.
I think we do. We had someone come to our weekend that she herself considers herself as a sound healer, not as a musician, and she showed up with a set of chakra crystal bowls. And we were talking the first night, and she said, setting things out. And she goes, I wasn't sure." She drove from Ohio, by the way, to Hudson Valley, and she wasn't sure that she was in the right place. She's like, "I'm not sure I should come." And then I reassured her, like, "Oh no, this is exactly where you were meant to be this weekend." And so her play was integral throughout the weekend, and it was great.
She did say it was just a whole transformational weekend for her. Just
Absolutely.
blew her away and sent her flying. In that and and I think that's probably a good, knowing that we send people off and allow them to fly into their musicianship and whatever's more true. I think that's what's been true for all of us. We find ourselves more truly in our own selves. Get a little more inner outer connection through
Mm.
this through music for people. It's been great. Yeah. Any last words, Jimbo, for anybody who's thinking or worrying or anything you would?
If you're hesitant, if you're worried, if you are confused, then take those as signals that you should come be part of this program. And you can do it at any level. You can come in just to get in on a monthly music jam. You can come into the recording lab. There are certain events throughout the year. You can just check it out. And the other thing that I would say with that is just be patient with yourself,
Mm.
because all of us come in with a perspective and conditioning and nurturing that says it should go a certain way. And the journey will transform you in ways you had no idea. So if you're open to growth and to connection and to becoming a much deeper, appreciative musician, it's absolutely the place. No matter whatever the resistance is, just use that as your motivation to come.
And if you like to play and laugh and and be who and really find yourself, it's yeah. I thank you so much. That was perfect, Jimbo. I'm so thrilled as on behalf of all the grads. I know we've kind of written in the welcome, but welcome into the group of grads. We are
I
so
get
glad to have
to
you
come to
in
the grad
here.
lounge.
And then you can come to the grad lounge. I think we need to have an emergency meeting of the grad lounge and bring you all in so we can see each other. But now everybody seems to be so busy. So anyway, thank you very much for your time, Jimbo. I'm so glad you're with us. I'm so glad you're with just in the community, and that you are now a grad as well, and we are off into the world doing the extraordinary work that you are doing. I've been watching you for
Thank you.
years. I'm so thrilled that you are part of our family and our
I'm
community.
glad to be part of the family, and definitely glad to be connected to you, Sharon.
Yeah, we get some pretty deep friendships, even if
Uh-huh.
we've barely physically seen each other, maybe once or twice or three times, but the friendships and the connections
It's palpable.
go
It
very deep.
absolutely is.
Love you very much, Jimbo. Thank you so much.
Love you
Thank
too.
you for being with us. Musicforpeople.org, Facebook/Music for People, Music for People page. And we really look forward to seeing you sometime at an event. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.